everybody and welcome to another video. Today we're going to have some relaxing time with my sketchbook, and I would like to share with you these art supplies that just arrived in the post a few days ago. I want to mention that I haven't been sponsored by these brands, nor I've given these supplies for free. Lately, I dipped my toes into illustrating with inks and a graphite pencil due to the publication of my first art zine that you may find as a digital download in my Etsy shop, and all the links are below in the description. I was looking for something that would give me the same effect of watercolor, but keeping the illustration style in a flat, black and white type of motion. After browsing the internet, I stumbled upon this water-soluble graphite that I got in 3 different forms from 3 different brands. First of all, I got this Viarco graphite. You may know Viarco, the Portuguese brand, for their tailor-shaped pigments that I have reviewed in this channel before and that I love very much. This is a quite light grade of graphite and will give you really light washes. Water-soluble graphite, in fact, behaves like a regular graphite pencil, and they come in different hardness, from half being the hardest, so the lightest, to 9B being the softest, so the darkest. And you can achieve different values, so different darkness, depending on the grade. And this Viarco one is a very light. Unfortunately, as happens often for Viarco, I haven't got any information about the pigment, the hardness or the softness of this graphite. I got then a softer one. This comes from Lira, which is a German brand, and it comes in a form of a stick or crayon, so it suggests you that you can use it directly on the paper or adding water. This is the only one that is actually graded as 6B, and I find it extremely satisfying to use. The way it melts with water is actually very beautiful. As you can see, it's a much darker tone, and I do love the way it interacts with the lighter graphite. And lastly, I got this XL graphite block from Derwent. Derwent is a British brand, which closed a little lovely trip through Europe. This is not graded as the Lira is, but in the box, and I quote, they say it's very soft, and as you can see, is a much darker tone of graphite as well. These 3 are very different graphite in values, and it makes a nice set to use in combination. I'm testing a little swatch here, and I would like to see how they erase. My expectation was that they would behave like pencil, but I found that they are much more difficult to erase than regular graphite. Probably due to the water seeping into the paper fibers that makes the graphite stick to the paper. Erasing would look more like lifting watercolors. When dry, you can still smudge them, so they would behave like pencil after all. For some painting example, I have a little sketch here of a portrait. And the thing that I would like to achieve with this portrait is to lay down the main values of the figure and give the idea of the colors that would be there if I actually use colors. This is something that I really like, and it's in my quest of achieving a minimal palette of colors. Usually, I do this using one watercolor only or ink. But the handy thing of the graphite is that I can just keep one of these blocks in my pencil case and I have it handy without having to set up an entire watercolor palette. I particularly like the way this graphite layers on the top of each other, almost like watercolor does, or ink perhaps, which will allow you to achieve a very interesting combination of values and effects. The washes tend to dry quite quickly though, I found, and quite flat, resembling more how India ink or perhaps gouache would look like. All of these characteristics are almost happily ticking all the boxes that I was looking for in this medium to achieve the flat illustration effect for my zine painting. As you can see from this exercise, I'm just working directly with the graphite blocks without really using a palette or a mixing dish. Just starting with a really light Viarco one and then going over with several washes of the darker ones. As it behaves more or less like watercolor or ink, I found myself applying that knowledge and technique that I have with watercolor and do things like mixing the graphite on the paper and lifting it up and moving it around the paper, and that really was a lot of fun. They behave as watercolor, but they are quite different from watercolors as well. This behaving like watercolor may trick you, and you would probably try and mix them. But as they are graphite, they dissolve in water and they blend into the colors, creating some pretty ugly and muddy washes. It's something like painting over a really dark and heavy pencil drawing. If you want to mix them, I would recommend you to keep very light. In this case, I'm using a primary yellow from my Jackson's art. The last thing that really surprised me is how you can actually use those erasable property of the graphite and create little touches of light on the top of the painting, almost like you would do with a gel pen, a white gel pen. If you have tried water-soluble graphite before and you have some suggestion to give me on how to use it better, I would really appreciate if you can put a comment below. I'm always trying to learn more. And thank you so much for watching. I would really appreciate as well if you subscribe to my channel and like this video. You can find all my art on my Instagram account, Irish Farm Art. And I'll see you very soon. Sloan.